Hello and welcome back to another command block tutorial. Today's video is going to be the first episode in a kind of mini series that I want to do, sort of similar to how I've gone through all the elements of the Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yes, I know I haven't done water yet. I'm getting to it. I'm actually going to just make a couple of different classes that are kind of based on Star Wars. Basically, a couple different abilities for each one, and they're going to be fully multiplayer and PvP compatible. And you might think, well, surely he started on the Jedi. And no, I did not. And that's actually for good reason, and I'll show you that reason in just a second. But let's get into it. The first class that I actually made today is the Trooper. So the Trooper comes with three pretty simple abilities. The first of which, when holding an Iron Horse armor and sneaking, you get to shoot out this fully automatic blaster. Pretty simple, you can just shoot anywhere you want, and it just works like a simple blaster. Of course, this will damage mobs. And this will damage other players. Like I said, this is fully PvP functional, and you won't accidentally hurt yourself with this. I did do some extra testing to make sure this would work in a PvP setting. But yeah, fully functional blaster right there. The next thing that we have is the little jump pack. So basically, pretty simple. You just hold blaze powder, and boom, you get a jump pack. And the thing you guys probably just noticed is that the blaze powder disappeared and then came back to me. Because we have two other abilities, the slime ball and the blaze powder, which is the jump pack and the grenade, or the thermal detonator, because that's the Star Wars version of a grenade, I think. What you'll notice is that they actually came back to me. They disappeared and then came back, and that's how the cooldown functions, because this system is based on cooldowns, and of course, they're very easy to adjust. So not only are you guys going to be making some cool weapons, but if you guys haven't made a cooldown before, this is a really good way to implement it. Anyways, we have a short cooldown for the jump pack. It's just a little mobility thing, gives us levitation for a few seconds to help us get pretty high up. And like I said, it's a pretty short cooldown. Now, the last piece of the Trooper's equipment is really important because a Jedi can, of course, deflect laser beams. That's why I wanted to do this before the Jedi, so that way the Jedi could effectively deflect these back at you. But that doesn't mean they can deflect everything. And if a Jedi is blocking, all you gotta do is chuck a grenade at them. Pretty simple stuff. And I will, once my grenade's back, I'm gonna give myself a few targets here. So basically, you throw the grenade, it's going to stick to whatever surface it lands on and blow up after a few seconds. And it does arc, it kind of fires slowly, like you would kind of expect a grenade to throw. It has a nice arc to it, lands on the ground, and then after a timer, it blows up and does a lot of damage. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, the other thing that I should mention is that we also have a little bit of an extra feature here, because I don't want this to just be for PvP, although you guys might want it to be. We also made skeletons actually shoot the blaster effects, which is really cool because if I'm a Jedi, I can actually, let me get a little bit further away so you guys can see it a bit better. Let me go in survival mode here. They start shooting at me, I can deflect while holding my sword, and it deflects the lasers right back at them. And that's going to work in PvP too. So I hope you guys are excited for that, but we're going to get to that later, because that's going to be in a future episode. Today we're doing Troopers, so let's get into it. So we have three abilities here. Each one does have a unique scoreboard attached to them. So the first one is going to be P-Timer. Now, if you do P-Timer in this tutorial and you do basically any of these other things, any of the other episode 2 or episode 3 of these, you won't need to make this scoreboard more than once, even though I'll probably show it in each one. P-Timer is just the projectile timer. Basically, we don't want this, because this is a boat, by the way, we don't want these boats going off into infinity. We want them to basically disappear after a short amount of time. And if I change my scoreboard here, you guys are going to see that as I'm firing them, they're going to get counted up. Then once they hit a certain number, they're going to disintegrate. Because, like I said, they go pretty far, but you don't want them just going on infinitely. That would be bad, probably, for your world and your lag. The next scoreboard that we're going to be doing is Ability 1, and this is just for the first set of cooldowns. All that's happening is when I use up this ability, you guys can see that I did the grenade first. I'm sorry, I had the wrong scoreboard. For ability 2, which is the jetpack, you see as soon as I use it, it gets set to 5, slowly starts counting down, and as soon as it's done, I get it back. And of course, the same is true for the grenade, which I actually had on ability 1. Thought I had them switched, my bad. As soon as I throw it, the cooldown starts counting. Then after 10 seconds, as you can see, it blows up over there. But after 10 seconds, We get the grenade back. And one thing to mention, it is a grenade, so you're going to damage anything, including yourself. I don't know if I have keep inventory on. Anyways, yeah, so that's how these abilities work. I did start on the Jedi, but we're going to be doing that in a future episode. The other thing is I'm going to show you how to make the skeletons shoot it, but for now, let's talk about your abilities. First of which is, the most important, is your primary weapon, your blaster. So, here's what's going on. If you guys have seen my gun tutorial, this is pretty similar concepts. We are executing at any player that has the tag Trooper, because you need to have tags for these class abilities to work. The whole thing is meant to be like a class PvP, PvE for you guys to implement in your own worlds. Anybody that has the tag Trooper is holding Iron Horse Armor and is sneaking, which is what all this does. It's going to summon a boat 101.6 blocks above their head and slightly in front of their face. The reason being we don't want to accidentally hit ourselves with a laser. Next up, pretty simple, we're going up 100 blocks and we're just tagging the boat with the tag blaster. It's the same thing, we're checking for the Trooper if they're sneaking, holding Iron Horse Armor, all that, and then just tagging the boat with the tag blaster. Then what we're doing is we're executing at the Trooper. Once again, same thing, holding Horse Armor, are they sneaking? If so, we're going to place the beacon activate sound like this, and that's the sound effect. It's not my favorite, I don't think it quite works. If you guys have better sounds, I highly recommend you put it in, but I think it works well enough. Alright, next thing that we're doing is we're executing at the blaster. We're going to basically just do a particle 100 blocks down. Pretty simple, that's just the visual effect that you guys see. Next up, we're going to actually be teleporting the blaster 0.5 blocks forward. And of course, we're going to be actually running the damage. So we're just going 100 blocks below the boat, below the blaster, where the particle actually is. Okay. We're going under the boat where the particle actually is. We're doing 10 entity attack damage. If you want to change the amount of damage that your blaster does, this is what you change. Make this higher, lower, whatever you want. Next up, we actually are just repeating these 3 commands again. This just makes it so that it can travel twice as fast, but it won't it's because it's teleporting, it's not technically moving in a straight line. This just prevents it from accidentally not hitting something that it should hit. Instead of making a bigger TP, we do smaller TPs like that. Now, the other thing I should mention that I forgot to mention for this first line is I have it on a 5-tick delay. This is actually your fire rate. However, I believe if it's lower than 4, you are going to run into some bugs. Maybe not. But keep that in mind. If you guys want to adjust the fire rate, make this number lower or higher. The lower the number, the faster you're going to fire. So as you can see, 3 is actually pretty fast. So just keep that in mind as you guys are adjusting this. And as always, make it your own. Customize how you want. But remember, right here is the summoning, the actual firing of it. This is the damage in the projectile. And finally, we just have the timer. All we're doing is anything with the tag blaster at a P timer of 1. This is on a 10-tick delay. Once the blaster is P timer 6 or higher, then go ahead and kill it. So keep in mind, if it's on a 10-tick delay, it's adding up every half a second. So if it's killing at 6, that means it is live for 3 full seconds before disappearing. Yeah, I like this fire rate a lot better. Let's just do this real quick. Oh, they're just killing each other with their blasters. They will do that. Ignore that. But yeah, that's all we got to do right here. Now, I should also mention, real quick, how to do the skeleton blasters, so that way you can have a PvE enemy. First thing we're doing is we're just killing any arrows, because we don't want skeletons to be shooting 2 things. That'd be weird. Next thing we're doing is we're executing at the skeleton, summoning a boat, basically in front of their face, about 100 blocks up. We're giving the boat the tag blaster, and then we're just playing the sound. Pretty simple stuff. And that's just completely optional, but if you want skeletons to be shooting a blaster, because then you can deflect it back at them as a Jedi, then go ahead and do that. Alright, next up is the grenade or the thermal detonator. Now, of course, if you guys just want to do not a Star Wars thing, this also works perfectly well as a normal grenade. Anyways, let's get into it. First thing that we're going to be doing is pretty simple, pretty similar to the last thing we did. We're summoning a boat, except 110 blocks up rather than on just 100 blocks up. That way we don't have any weird interference. Simply summoning a boat in front of the player's face. That's all it is. but we're checking for, of course, if they're holding a slime ball instead. Next up, what we're going to be doing is exact same command, except we're going 111 blocks up, and we're giving the boat the tag deton, or Thermal Detonator for short, basically. Or this is the short version of Detonator, Thermal Detonator, basically. That's why I chose this tag. Then this is where the cooldown stuff comes in, because we already made the scoreboard that I'm going to show you right here. We already typed this in. We already made ability 1. Now what we're doing is making it so the player that is sneaking with the slime ball has an ability 1 score of 10. Next up, we're playing this sound, which is the mob witch throw sound, which works pretty well as a throwing sound. And once again, it's the same thing, holding a slime ball in their main hand and they're sneaking. We play that sound. Finally, we're actually going to clear the slime ball from the player. This just makes it so they, of course, can't be throwing multiple. As you can see, the slime ball's gone, so I can't throw it again. Next up, we're going to be actually dealing with the cooldown. So the first thing is on a 20-tick delay. What we're doing is, if the player has an ability 1 score of 1 or higher, it's higher than 1, they're of course the trooper, we're going to remove the ability score of 1 from them. So this is going to see, if you guys see on the side of the screen, slowly removing my cooldown. And once it hits 0, it's going to give it back to me. The way we're giving it back is any player that has an ability score of 0, whose tag is Trooper, who has a slime ball with a quantity of 0, which means they don't have a slime ball, give them a slime ball. So to reiterate on what that means, if the player's cooldown is 0, they have no cooldown, they have the correct tag, and they don't have a slime ball, go ahead and give them a slime ball. And boom, then we have slime ball. Now we get into the actual mechanics for the throw, and then of course the explode after that. First thing that we're going to be doing is the simple particle effects, just going for the boat, going down 110 blocks, and running the balloon gas particle. Then this is going to be the arcing stuff. So we're going to teleport it slightly forward, and this is how we're arcing it. We're basically making it look 40 blocks out and 1 block down, which just means that every time it teleports, it's looking slightly more down than the last time it teleported. That's all that is. We're also making sure that it doesn't have the tag hit, because in the next command we're going to be checking at the grenade that has the tag deton, unless the block, like right below it, basically where the particle is, remember the boat's in the air, so more or less, unless it is above an air block, it's going to get the tag hit. What that does in effect is make it so that when it hits a block, it just stops moving entirely, it just lands on the ground. And of course, we also want to make sure it's just teleporting in place. So once it has the tag hit, it's just going to be teleporting itself in place. That means it's not going to move once it hits something. As you guys can see here, it just kind of waits, and then it blows up. Last thing is, of course, blowy uppy, the most important part. What we're doing is that on a 10-tick delay, we're adding a P timer of 1 to the grenade. Then when the P timer is 8, it's going to give it the tag boom. Now for anything that has the tag deton and boom, it's going to first just do this simple particle. Next up, it's of course going to play the random explode sounds. Next, it's going to be doing damage to anything in the area. So of course this is going to be the actual grenade damage. I have it set to 30, which is pretty high. That's enough to kill a player and a half. Adjust it as you guys need. It's up to you. And of course, the radius of the grenade's damage is 6. Once again, adjust this, make it as big as small as you would like. It's up to you guys. And lastly, we're just going to kill the thing that has both the tags. This way it's not just sitting on the ground exploding infinitely time and again. That would be weird. It would be cool though. But yeah, pretty simple and effective grenade on a cooldown. Now the last one, the little jump pack that we have, is actually probably the simplest of these, so I'll just get into it. All that we're doing is we're checking for the tag trooper, as in, once again, same class. They're holding a blaze powder and they're sneaking. I know, we're getting real creative on the trigger mechanisms here, guys. And all we're doing is just giving the player 1 second of levitation 12. Now, I will mention, if you guys want to make the jump higher, you can make this levitation higher. If you want to make it lower, make the levitation lower. It's entirely up to you guys, adjust it how you want. Then we're going to be doing a couple of particle commands. This just makes it so at your feet, at your feet you can kind of see a little bit of flame particles, but these are honestly kind of not really that important. It's up to you guys if you just want them or not. And I would actually suggest probably bring them up like 0.2 blocks, and then you'll probably see them a little bit better. Yeah, but that's up to you guys. Do what you want. So we have the particle commands, then we have another particle commands, and we have another the same particle commands, just to kind of repeat, you know, get a little bit more visuals going on, but that's entirely up to you guys. Then it's the exact same command, except we are just playing the gas fireball sound at the player. Then we're setting the ability 2 score to 5. Just remember, we already made this scoreboard right here, ability 2. Setting the ability 2 score to 5, that's the wrong command. Setting the ability 2 score to 5. And finally, we are clearing the player of their blaze powder, meaning that they can't repeat that, you know, ability. And lastly, of course, on a, once again, 20 tick delay, we're just removing the ability 2 score from anybody that has an ability 2 of 1 or higher. That means it's just going to be constantly ticking back down to 0. And of course, lastly, we're going to be giving the player blaze powder once their ability 2 score is back to 0. And that is it for the first of these classes. I hope you guys like this, because I do want to make a couple more of these, like a Jedi class, a Sith class, a Bounty Hunter class, some of those things. And of course, if you guys have ideas for abilities for those, feel free to leave them in the comments. But I hope you guys like this little series, and whether you're using this for PvE or PvP, I hope you guys enjoy these systems. I think they're really neat, and I always, you know, like Star Wars, and I think it's really cool to bring that type of stuff into the game of Minecraft. And, you know, blaster and grenade. Look at that. Look at that beautiful grenade. Boom. Just blew up like a grenade would. I don't know, guys. I don't know, man. But yeah, I really do hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys get to make use of this in your own worlds. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment. I will, as I always do, suggest that you join our Discord, because Discord has a lot of people who are really going to be able to help you out with a lot of these commands. And yeah, I think that's about it. If you guys want to see more of these, like I said, let me know, and drop your ideas for what classes and what abilities you guys want to see in future, I don't know, up versions, videos, whatever, of this mini series that I'm doing. And for those of you asking, yes, I do intend to do waterbending still. Just be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Alright, guys. Bye.